welcome back to Virginia International Raceway, Motul Superbike class and the Pizzazz Superstock 1000 class on the warm-up lap. And Jason, let's take a look at the Dunlop starting grid.
Josh Hayes led the way this morning with a sick but feeling better Josh Herrin in the Mean Motorsports. Second on the grid, Cameron Beaubier didn't probably get as much out of that qualifying tire as he needed this morning. Greg finished third there. Kyle Wyman continuing a strong run in fourth, ahead of Roger Hayden and Jake Gagne in sixth. Good qualifying for Jake. Then we got the first of our Superstock competitors, Matthew Sculpts, Jake Lewis on row 3. Next to them, Tony Elias, and then Bobby Fong, Danny Essick, and Bryce Prince round out row 4.
Big surprise to have Tony so far back, but we expect him to be charging through. David Anthony, the 25, he is on that fly racing machine, switched from the Superbike class, and now he is racing in the Superstock 1000 class. And on back through the rest of the field, Hayden Gillum, a little surprised to see actually Hayden back there. Let's take a look at the keys to the race, Jason, because this one is going to be an absolute barn burner. At least we expect it to be. So the Kawasaki keys to the race.
Yeah, well, Josh Hayes is on pole, and I think that's great for him. It's going to give him a big boost of confidence. He's had a bit of a struggle so far this year. It's a track he likes. It's a place that he's always gone well out, won a lot of races, as you said earlier, Greg, so it's going to be a good thing for him. You know, Herrin's sick. He's been sick all weekend, but they've managed to find some things with that bike. They've managed to actually get the traction control to work for more than 1 or 2 laps. So that team's been working really hard. And that kid led the race here last year on a Superstock bike. It'll be interesting to see what he'll do on a Super Sport, on a Superbike. And Terry Elias, how big is he going to charge through the pack from row 3, Greg?
All right, let's go down to Terry with a Motul last-minute report. Terry?
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, quick thing. Tony Elias, you'll notice that his leathers are still all tattered up from his crash in practice this morning. I noticed that Alpine Stars representatives were asking him all day today, are you sure you don't want new leathers? Are you sure you don't want new leathers? Nope, he did not want to change them out. They would prefer him to, but they made adjustments to his calves. They're brand new leathers going into the weekend, and he wants to stay comfortable.
All right, so Tony Elias stays in those crash suits. That could be a sign of something coming up, too.
Gotta be comfortable.
All right, so here we go. It's time for the red lights to go on. When they go off, reds are going up. We're off and on our way, and it looks like Josh Herrin with a pretty decent start till that wheel hit the air. Cam Beaubier and Herrin elbow to elbow, but how about Roger Hayden? So, oh, they got to.
How about Tony Elias? Came from the 3rd row. He's second, Greg. He's second or third. You see Josh Herrin got in that first turn a little bit too quick, and look who's leading. Kyle Wyman was leading. Josh Herrin snags that back as they head to turn 3 and 4, but Tony Elias from row 3 has come up to fight for 3rd. He's not going to have to worry about going up through the pack. He's already got by all of them.
Kyle Wyman on the 33 on the Excelsis Solutions Lucas Oil KWR Yamaha, that private effort out of New York is in second spot. 2 private efforts.
Up front.
Yeah, absolutely. So Privateers leading the way right now. As we have a good look up, turn number 7 goes the number 2 of Josh Herrin on the HelmetSound.com Western Services Mean Motorsports Yamaha. Where are the factory boys right now, and how is this going to play out?
Josh Hayes with a horrible start back there in 6th, which is very unusual. We're used to seeing him getting a little bit better starts than that. And it looked like Jake Gagne is trying to come up here and join the fun as he goes underneath Bobby Fong up at the top of turn 10. So now Jake Gagne, a guy that we've talked about a lot, we haven't got to see up front. He's trying to get that Honda moving forward. He's just behind Josh Hayes as Josh Herrin is trying to make a break.
Brand new Dunlop tires here, rolling down the front straightaway. Josh Herrin trying to make the most out of that traction control, gets the power to the ground, and here they go. Look at Tony Elias, 24, up the inside of Kyle Wyman. Oh, he's going up the inside of both. They almost touch as Josh Herrin tries to get to the apex, and he sees nothing but the 24.
Well, he just went by 2 guys, and that's kind of some of the stuff that you saw. Look at this. Josh Herrin wants to have another go. I'll tell you right now, Josh Herrin is not afraid to put the gloves on either as he runs wide. This is where he's got to show a little bit of patience and just start letting the race come back to him. He can't let his emotions get the best of him. He just saw Tony Elias slide underneath both him and Kyle Wyman, and he's got to just try to refocus. He's capable of doing the laps. You can see now he's got things settled down a little bit as they head off into turn 7.
Yoshimura Suzuki's Tony Elias, 24, leading the way. Tony's won 3 out of the 4 races so far. When he didn't win, he was second. So he has been the class of the field on this brand new motorcycle, 2017 GSXR 1000. The Yoshimura crew having everything to do with the brand new bike. As Herrin is going to have a go now. He forces it underneath Tony Elias. So I'm sure Josh Herrin has seen the press conference, and he doesn't care that Tony Elias doesn't like to be passed back.
Not at all. He, like I said, he is not afraid to race these guys hard. We've definitely seen a little bit more of a mature Josh Herrin this year. That said, if you're going to go by him the way that Tony just did, which was very clean, but Josh went by him just as clean at the top of turn 10. Now they're going back down into turn 1. Let's see what happens. Everyone's going to fall into line just a little bit more. Roger Hayden trying to go up underneath Kyle Wyman for third.
So Roger Hayden on the 95. Both Yoshimura Suzuki's in second and third spot. Easily distinguished by Tony Elias's yellow.
And something
what happened to Cameron Beaubier? That's the question.
He's in 17th, Greg. I was looking for him in that line. There he is. He's going through turn 1. Something must have happened to him during that lap. I could see him in that big group a lap earlier. So something has happened to Cameron. We'll see if we can find out what's going on here. Let's have a look. As they went into turn 1, Cameron got in there and almost touched the back of Kyle Wyman. So while we were focusing on Tony there in turn 1, Kyle was braking and Cameron almost ran in the back of him.
Cameron off into the weeds, and he was able to save it on this wet, grass. So good job by Cameron to keep it upright. Right now out of the points, but we'll keep progress on Cameron Beaubier. He's the one down there, left part of your screen, 17th BEA. That's Cameron Beaubier. As Josh Herrin continues to lead the Motul Superbike class right now. And wow, he's got a couple of hungry Yoshimura Suzuki. Boy, man, after Herrin passed Tony Elias, I thought Elias would fight right back.
But look at this, Greg. I'm talking, we've got 8 or 9 guys all up in this lead group. And by the way, Jake Lewis just ran the fastest lap of the race in 9th place on a Superstock bike at a 25.9. Tony's got to run on Josh again. Let's see if he ducks down to the inside and tries to do anything with him. He's going to sit there behind him. You can always tell Tony's body position changes. You can see something in him change when he decides he's going to take a lunge. But all the while, Josh Hayes is crept by Kyle Wyman. This lead group, all doing 26s, high 25s, so on and so forth. 16th. Guy in 16th just went 25.3. Wow. Cameron Beaubier, he's going to be on the charge to try to catch back up and try to salvage as many points as he can. But look at this lead group we have, Greg.
And Josh Hayes, after not a great start, is now in 4th spot. And so it is Josh Herrin on the HelmetSound.com Western Services Mean Motorsports Yamaha. As now it looks like teammates are going after it. So Roger Hayden having none of Tony Elias. So Tony Elias getting roughed up early.
And Bobby Fong slides himself up into 5th overall. And this is a track where the Superstock bikes, we made tons of mentions of it last year. This is a place where the Superstock bikes can compete. Tony Elias, to me, look at Josh Hayes trying to go by Elias too. Is he going to run wide? No, that's not a good spot. That is not a good spot.
And he can't get that bike.
He's back on. Both factory Yamaha guys have made big errors so far in this race. And now Bobby Fong is going to try to draft that Yoshimura Suzuki down the front straightaway. That's our leading Superstock bike as they come onto this front straight. Let's see if he can do anything with him when they get to the end of going down into turn 1. Josh Herrin doing a great job leading at the front.
So now Josh Hayes slips back. So the Monster Energy Yamaha is out of contention here. What a race we have at Virginia International Raceway, scheduled for 23. It is privateer-owned Mean Motorsports rider Josh Herrin, who leads from the factory Yoshimura Suzuki of Roger Hayden. Here's a replay.
Josh got in there a little bit hot at the top, and he thought he was going to try to make it. But I'll tell you right now, with that grass being as wet as it is and things, Josh did an amazing job of keeping that bike upright, coming down that very steep hill.
And not getting into traffic.
And not getting into any traffic or hurting himself or anybody else. Great job for him there. A lot of experience.
Look at this freight trainer rider. Right now, only covered by about 2 seconds all the way back to 8th spot. Roger Hayden, the number 95, with the orange highlights on his GSXR 1000. Very easy for you all to distinguish who those two riders are. But Roger Hayden is hungry as ever to get a race win under his belt. Sits 3rd in the points right now. Hasn't won yet this year, but he does have 2 second-place finishes. He's got bookends in the first race and the 4th race. So Roger Hayden now has to play a bit of a patient game, I think. Tony Elias coming under fire from Bobby Fong. It's factory Superbike versus privateer Superstock. Wow.
Look at how fast that Kawasaki is that Bobby Fong is on. And Tony looks to me like he's just doing everything he can to hang on to those 2 guys right now. Looked like we might have had a change of position just behind him. No, Kyle Wyman's still sitting there in 5th place with Matthew Skoltz right behind him, and Matthew's wanting to get up there to him, and you can see Raj now has closed on to the back of Josh Herrin. Seems like there's a couple. Oh, he's going to go for the lead, Greg, turn 3.
Here goes Roger Hayden underneath. That's a little wide. He goes. Josh Herrin will be relegated back to 2nd spot. So now Roger Hayden, your race leader. And what a savvy move that was.
Yep, a lot of laps around here. And look, Josh is setting him back up now as they head down towards turn 7. He's going to have a look, but Raj has just kind of just put himself in every spot possible, perfect so far in this race to come up here, take the lead. He's probably seen the fact that one of the Yamahas went off in front of him, being Cameron. Probably doesn't know about Josh yet, obviously, but this is a big points day for Raj. If he can keep it up, here comes Josh Herrin as they go into turn 10.
Roger Hayden knew that was coming. You can tell from his body language that he knew that Herrin was going to let off the brakes.
And well, Josh is really good up at the top of that hill, Greg. He gets a fantastic drive as they get through that right-hander just previous, turn 9B up to 9C, and brakes really good into turn 10. So he's got a lot of confidence in the front of that bike. Raj is now deep into the draft here as they come through start-finish line area.
And it looks like Tony Elias now starting to find his rhythm again. We've seen Tony Elias before go after it at the beginning of the race, settle down in the middle, and then start charging again. But the characteristics of this GSXR 1000 might be changing a little bit for Tony as the fuel load starts to wear down. With limited track, here comes Roger Hayden. He goes up the inside again. So it looks like Roger Hayden for a moment had the lead a little earlier, one corner earlier. Oh, side by side they go. Are you kidding me? That is so tight in there, and it's Josh Herrin who takes it.
And, you know, this is the thing with Josh, is he has a tendency to be able to just put his bike in spots. He's so gritty and wants to lead, wants to stay up front. This is exactly what we saw with him last year in the Superstock race. It was these two riders in the front that came together. If you remember, Raj got into turn 1 just a little bit too deep and just touched the back of Josh. And Josh was already in the middle of the corner, kind of just fell off the inside of his motorcycle. So Raj has seen Josh now fire back a couple of times. So when this kind of stuff starts to happen, Greg, you start realizing that the pass that you're going to have to make is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. When you see somebody just continue to keep fighting back at you, if you feel like you have pace like Raj might feel like he does right now, he's going to have to make a very decisive and hard pass in order to make it to where Josh can't come back at him. All the while, you got Tony Elias sitting there and Bobby Fong on his Superstock bike just waiting to pick up any pieces that might be coming.
Long drag race down the front straightaway, Tony Elias. Here's another look at some of this great passing. So here's Roger. He goes under him a turn early, trying to get Herrin to stay behind him.
But Raj wanted to square him back up right here. You go see Raj turn his bike right there. He wants to square him back up. You're going to see a little bit further through that footage, you'll see Josh Herrin do a quick little short shift. But now Josh is going to be he kind of knows.
Here comes Roger again.
Yep.
So Roger again. Josh Herrin keeps leaving that door open. That's the 2nd time in a row. But now Roger Hayden get a little bit tighter in that section, and he'll take over the lead for now.
And he's seen Tony pass up in turn 10, get passed up in turn 10. He's been passed up in turn 10. Now Josh Herrin is going to try. Nope, can't quite do anything in turn 7. Now Roger's going to want to clean this whole little section. This is going through 7. Now you go across the top of a ridge here. All these little turns, very one line. Now, where Josh Herrin is good is in this next right. He's really good at getting his bike turned. He's a little bit too far back this time. Raj has pulled that a little bit of a gap and gone in a little bit tighter this time. You see how tight Raj went into turn 10?
Racecraft.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's learning from learning from your competitors. Raj has seen him go underneath Tony there, and he had it done to himself. Now he wants to put his head down and try to get these lap times more consistent. Josh Hayes in 9th place, just for those that are wondering, just ran a 25.4, so he's trying to make his way back up through the field.
Dan Beaubier still continues to circulate quicker than the race leaders all the way back there in 14th spot. So here we go again, hard on the brakes, another pass for the lead. So Herrin does it in a different way, where you think that these factory bikes might have an advantage on horsepower. That's not the case when you have a Richard Stamboli built motor, as Josh Herrin does on the number 2 bike.
Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge there, but Josh runs wide here every lap, and Raj is just able to take advantage of that. So I'm not exactly sure, but this could be the point where we haven't had a lot of dry setup time, and Josh has definitely got a significant problem in the turn 3 area that's allowing these guys to get back underneath him. Look how close he is to the back of Raj as they go down this back straightaway, and they start creeping into turn 7 here. He's not going to be able to get by.
How close do you like Motul Superbike racing? Right there you have the top 3 bikes that compete in the Superbike class, and then right there in 4th spot is a Bazaz Superstock 1000 of Bobby Fong. So Fong, all the while, as we see a little bit of twitch coming off the rear end of Josh Herron's motorcycle, as Bobby Fong, the number 50 on the Quicksilver Latest Motorsports Kawasaki, is chasing down. I don't think he's made a move. We haven't seen Fong make a move on Tony Elias just yet. One thing I know for certain, Jason, is that the infighting going on up front, it seems to keep Tony Elias in tow right now, as well as Bobby Fong. I think Roger Hayden and Josh Herron need to sort this out. And if Josh Herron's got the pace, just let Roger lead for a little while. Nah, he doesn't care. He wants to try to get at him as soon as he can. Oh, look at Roger Hayden deep on the brakes. Motorcycle sliding sideways. He's able to hold him back down and get to the apex.
I'm gonna tell you something that you're gonna have a problem with here in a minute. Bobby Fong has got Matthew Scults right behind him. That's the 4th and 5th riders in your screen there. Both those guys are racing themselves. I can see Josh's bike. Looks like he's got a little chatter there in the turn 3 area. But both those guys are racing. And Bobby Fong might be sitting behind these leading 3 guys saying, okay, I'm leading Superstock. I'm gonna be a little bit patient. I'm not gonna get in the way of these Superbike guys. But Matthew Scults decides he wants to pass Josh. Look how close he is to Bobby Fong right now. So he's probably got a +0 on his board, telling him that Matthew Scults is right behind him. So one of these Superstock bikes are going to have to make a pass, possibly to get up closer to the lead group here, because otherwise they're going to be racing amongst themselves.
So the rivalry that we saw early on in the show between Tony Elias and Beaubier not coming to fruition, at least in this particular race.
Raj Hayden just ran the fastest first split of his race at a 39.8. This is going to be Raj's best lap of the race. He's gone green in the first 2 splits, and you can see what it's done. It's separated these guys just a little bit. That 2nd and 3rd place battle now has started to split itself apart because Josh Herron's trying to chase after Raj and stay in that lead group. But Bobby Fong is still sitting there, and as I watch these guys go through, just from our commentating position here, that number 4 bike is coming. That guy you just saw in the back of the screen, that's Josh Hayes, and he's been running very consistent 25s. Cameron Beaubier is right behind him, 25.1 for Cameron Beaubier this last lap. 25.1. We're only in lap 11 of 23, and he looks like he's got a lot of grip, and he's charging.
25.161. So far, the fastest lap of the race. So Beaubier continues to raise the bar, lower the bar in this case. I mean, he just keeps dropping those lap times, going after it.
And to put it in perspective, he's 9.5 seconds off the lead, but he's about 7 seconds behind Jake Lewis, who's at the tail end of this lead battle. But look what Raj Hayden has done here. He started to split this group up a lot. He had the pace. He knew he had the pace. He just had to try to get himself and break free from Josh Herron, who in turn has tried his best to break away from Tony Elias.
So Roger Hayden now at 25.420, his personal best lap time in this race last go around. Herron chasing him at 25.6, his personal best. Tony Elias coming under fire for Bobby Fong in a Superstock 1000. Oh, let's take a look at
this start.
Race.
This start here, this guy got through 2 or 3 rows of people before he even had to get on the brakes for turn 1. Look at that start he got. Oh, he worked himself all the way up. He's on the left side of your screen there, number 24. He just works himself right into the mix, and you can see those 2 guys look like Kyle Wyman and Josh Herron kind of got close to each other, but right up to the front goes Tony Elias.
From 9th on the grid, from row number 3. What a start for Tony Elias, as now the fastest lap of the race goes to the veteran Josh Hayes back in 8th spot. He lowers it to a 25.0. So Hayes is going after Jake Gagne back there in that spot as we continue to watch Roger Hayden on the Yoshimura Suzuki lead the way. It's Hayden, Herron, Elias, and Fong.
Yep, and he's only 3.8 seconds off the lead. The hard part for Josh is how much is he wearing out his tire?
Yep.
And he's got to go through a bunch of guys that are really fast guys. You can see him back there behind Jake Gagne now. Jake Lewis, Jake Gagne right here, these 3. Josh Hayes has caught up to them after running off the track through the wet grass down a very steep hill. His race has been a little bit more exciting than the rest of these guys, but he's moving forward and doing it fast.
Jake Lewis just up ahead. So Jake Lewis on that M4 X-Star Suzuki, he's on the Superstock 1000. The reason I mentioned Jake is because he is going into this race tied for the championship lead in the Bazaz Superstock 1000 class with number 50 right there, Bobby Fong. So Fong right now starting to pull away in the championship as Matthew Scults is 3rd, 5 points behind. So a lot of urgency, not only to try to get on the podium, Jason, but there is this battle in the Bazaz Superstock 1000 class as well for this national championship.
No question, and Bobby's got to make a move. He's got to try to get by Tony in order to try to get himself back on the back of Josh Herron and Roger Hayden and try to get those lap times lowered, because right now he's got Matthew Skoltz right up behind him, so he's got to try to do his best to get by Tony, who's not racing against him in class, but then he's also got to try to hold off the advances from Matthew just behind him. Both those guys didn't finish the last race in Atlanta, and so they're both hungry to try to get back up on that podium.
No question, we won't have the same results we had last year. 2016 race winners, Josh Hayes, race number 1, Cameron Beaubier, race number 2. Right now, it looks like Roger Hayden setting the pace nicely.
Yeah, he's just running consistent mid-25s. The rest of the guys are, you know, Josh Herron that last lap, 25.9, and then the rest of the guys are in the 26s until you get back to the 2 Yamahas in 8th and 9th. 25.8 for Josh, who's now on the back with Gagne and Lewis, and 25.1 for Cameron Beaubier, who's consistently the fastest rider on the track right now. He's closed that gap down to 8.6 seconds to Raj. It was 9.4, I believe, last time we mentioned it. The thing that we've got to also start to think back about now as we get to 9 laps into the race is with Josh Herron being so sick, you know, is that fatigue going to start coming into play? You know, how much energy is he going to have left? Ooh, as he gets close, and he's had a problem, Greg.
Oh,
Josh Herron's got a problem coming onto the front straightaway. You saw the arm go up, so we're going to have to see what his problem is. His arm went up, but he's still running right now. So not sure what that was about. Looking at the lap time, he went 26.3, so he didn't go slow, but we definitely saw his arm go up.
Race leader, Roger Hayden at 25.8 last time around, so he continues to chip away, but now it looks like Herron is starting to fall into the clutches of Tony Elias as his hand went up in the air for a moment. Maybe it was a big mistake of slide, and sometimes maybe he thought he was getting +0 on his board, signaling perhaps behind him that, hey, sorry about that, guys, but the battle for second now heats up as number 11 now, Skoltz, has gotten around Bobby Fong. So the Yamalube Westby Racing rider from South Africa, Matthew Skoltz, in his first trip to VIR. You wouldn't think it would be his first trip because he's such a stalwart now in the Pizzazz Superstock 1000 class, but it is, and he's doing really well right now, leading the Superstock 1000 battle and 4th on the racetrack.
This is the thing that's going to happen with these guys because our Superstock competitors are so fast and the bikes are so good that they're capable of running Superbike pace. But now Bobby Fong's got to rethink what he's got to do. The problem is that both yeah, you can see Jake Lewis is right there with him. But the thing is that it's very hard to pass Tony under braking. Yeah. So the Superstock bikes have to get close enough to him to do something with him in the braking zones, but they can't, a lot of times, get quite close enough. If you watch Tony down at the end of the straightaway, see how he kind of stays over to the right a little bit? It's going to make it hard for those guys to go by. Bobby Fong almost out on the white line. Josh Hayes has caught them now. As you were pointing out to me, he's caught them and he's trying to go through these guys. He can still finish on the podium after running through the grass.
That would be absolutely amazing, especially for the Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha factory team, thinking early part of this race that both their riders are going to be off the podium. Josh Hayes, though, like you said, what does he have left? Not in the tank. He's fit, and he certainly knows his way around this racetrack, but what does he have left underneath him? Those Dunlop tires. So Hayes,
he's still almost a second. He's still almost a second quicker than Raj, though. Like, he's 0.8 quicker. So he's got to start. He's got to try his best to make quick work of these two guys in front of him, or these 3 or 4 guys in front of him.
You know, it's funny because right before the race, I saw Hayes and Matthew Skoltz having a conversation, and Skoltz was actually admiring Josh Hayes for how quickly he gets through certain sections of the racetrack. He literally said, man, I don't know how you do that. Yep. I mean, Josh just has this place dialed in. So the question isn't if Josh Hayes can go fast. How's he going to get around these other riders in front of him if he can? He's got to do it quickly, though, because time is starting to run out.
Yes, and like right now, he's got to be able to get in the draft to Bobby coming down this front straightaway and do something with these guys when they get to the end of the straight. I mean, second is definitely in the cards here. No question asked for Josh Herron, but I'll tell you right now, that leader's not that far up. Let's see what Raj did this lap. 25.8 for Raj, 25.7 for Herron. And like, you know, now Josh Hayes, 25.6. He's kind of running the pace of these other guys. He's going to go underneath Bobby Fong. So that's one of the spots that he's going to be able to take. Now he's got to try to make fairly quick work, if he can, of the next guy here.
Oh, by the way, it looks like Skoltz.
He ran a little bit wide, did Josh?
Like Skoltz got around Tony Elias, if I saw things correctly. No, that must have been Josh Herron in front of him. So Skoltz remains on his back wheel, but it's Herron who's going to be coming under fire. Yeah. So now here comes Josh Hayes. He's not scared to stick a wheel in front of anybody, especially Tony Elias. So look at this battle. This is what you're looking at for second place. It's Josh Herrin on the 2, who leads this battle. Tony Elias on the 24, Matthew Skoltz on the 11, Bobby Fong in the 50, Josh Hayes on the 4.
And this is where things just kind of get stalled now, because he got by Bobby, ran a little bit wide. Bobby was able to get back by him, and now this is gonna hurt the lap times, obviously, for Josh Hayes trying to get move forward as quickly as he can.
Where Josh Hayes really excels at this racetrack, where he's had some secrets in years past, is down at the bottom of the hill, getting onto the front straightaway. But, of course, when people race with him, they start to learn his secrets. So we'll see now, this particular section of the racetrack, if Hayes can apply the gas a little earlier. But Bobby Fong looks so strong.
He does. He's great. He needs Bobby to pull out of the draft up against Matthew so he can kind of get a double draft. It's very difficult to draft here because we have this big kink in that straightaway. But at the end of here we go. Josh is back underneath Bobby Fong. Oh, it looked like Josh might be running a little bit wide, if I'm being honest. We'll have to look and see here. Yeah, Josh ran a little bit wide, and it looked like it screwed up Skoltz, because Bobby Fong was able to make a pass for the lead. But that's kind of what happens at the end of that straightaway, Greg. We come here year after year, and we see the same type of thing over and over.
Yeah, it's one thing when you're a rider like Josh Hayes. See, Roger Hayden right now, 25.5 last go around. He has his own way. So wherever Roger Hayden is strong in this racetrack, he can do everything he wants to do. But where Josh Hayes is strong, some of the traffic in front of him are starting to slow him down. Don't be surprised to see Hayes close right back up onto this group. But the question is, once he gets around him, he can't have his way because he's coming under fire. So that's really the big problem that Hayes has right now.
Well, it just goes to show you, too, when you look at the speed of these motorcycles, the Superstocks to the Superbikes are virtually nothing now. That Superstock bike, look at all the sideways Josh just got. He's been using this tire really hard. All the while, this guy just is running out front by himself. But this big group here, now Bobby Fong, we're going to have to see. He knows that Skoltz is there. He's got to try to make a move on these Superbikes in front of him.
Roger Hayden, there you go. A good look at the 2.1 second gap. They're coming across the line now, so our timing and scoring monitors will give us an idea if that stays the same. They come across the line. It's now grown to 2.3 seconds as number 2, Josh Herrin, leads Tony Elias right in the back. See, Tony is looking forward, but really, with Bobby Fong now moving up into 4th spot around Matthew Skoltz and Josh Hayes back there. By the way, the Cameron Beaubier check is 8th spot.
Yeah, and I saw him in the back of our shot there. It looks like Jake Gagne's on pit lane, so that's a shame seeing him on pit lane. He was kind of part of it. There you go. Tony Elias has gotten through on Josh Herrin, and Bobby Fong's going to square up Josh Herrin also. Those guys had a little history in the past riding in 600s, but this is what needs to happen for Bobby Fong. He needs to get somebody between him, and Josh Herrin's going to fire right back at Bobby Fong as they go into turn 7, guaranteed.
Wow. Good move by, well, side by side they go up the hill, and it's Herrin with the advantage as Fong trying to put the power to the ground, but Herrin just had a better line. And these two riders know each other from years past, and they are not afraid to bang bars.
Yeah, you know, but all these guys have incredible racecraft. And you see Josh Hayes looking to think about going down the inside of Bobby Fong, but thought better of it. That's where he had made his mistake a little bit earlier on. Now he's got to just try to be as patient as he can be, try to do something with Bobby Fong down into turn 1.
This race going Roger Hayden's way. He's had to fight for it, but the last several laps, Hayden has been out front. While this fighting continues, it's now Tony Elias in 2nd spot. Here comes Josh Herrin. We know that his motorcycle has a lot of motor. Oh, look at sideways goes Tony Elias. Can he get the bike slowed down? As now it looks like he opened the door for Josh Herrin. Nope, he's able to bring it back down.
Yeah, and I think that this little race here is going to get interesting, too, between all of these guys, because Bobby knows that he's got Josh Hayes behind him now because Josh went by him and ran wide once. He knows he's got Matthew Skoltz behind him. So there's going to be a lot of things going on in the next 3 or 4 laps of this race as we wind it down.
Tony Elias in 2nd spot right now. Hasn't finished lower than 2nd this year. Leads the championship by a massive 26 points.
And here we go. Josh Herrin trying. Josh Hayes is trying under Bobby Fong. Everyone's kind of ducking out and having a look.
Let's see what happens at the top of the hill. As we know, it's a favorite spot there on the top of turn 10 for Josh Herrin to try to make a move. Of course, what's going on physically with Herrin with that cold? Is it gonna let it by? He's close enough right now. There he goes up the inside. Is it? Oh, look at that's contact, and no, both go down.
Wow.
So Josh Herrin takes out your championship points leader. And now a big apology as those two riders tried to occupy the same space. Tony Elias down again this weekend. Here's the look, Jay.
Yep, this is one of those spots. Now he's in a gray area. Now he's not sure. Tony starts to just tip in. He hadn't made the pass all the way through. He didn't have enough of the bike underneath him for Tony to even react to it. It's a very, very hard place to pass at the top of that hill. And you can see Josh Herrin is ripped over to Tony and apologizing, saying he's sorry. And Tony's not going to be stoked on that move at all.
So that would put Bobby Fong in second spot. So the Superstock 1000 rider moves into second with Josh Hayes in third. What a comeback by Hayes, if he can even stand on the podium. Now he's going to go after Bobby Fong and try to get some valuable points back, as Hayes has had a disastrous start to the season and sits way back in eighth spot overall.
And what about Cameron Beaubier, who had a big problem at the start of this race? Runs off for turn one. He's going to be picking up championship points right now. Now, I'm interested to see, has Josh Hayes? Nope, he still isn't behind. He still hasn't got past Bobby Fong. He's still behind him with 4 to go. I was kind of thinking that if Josh Hayes could get around Bobby Fong this lap or a little bit earlier, he might have been able to do something with rods. There's nothing worse than when you see +2 or 3 on your board and you start seeing that come down. You can see Tony Elias over in the grass. Josh Herrin's in the grass. They're both bringing their broken motorcycles back down this hill to pit lane. But now Josh Hayes, if he has any hope at all, you can see that there was a back marker that Roger Hayden's coming up on too. This place is very difficult to pass. You want to be the first one to the back markers, but if you catch him in the wrong spot, it can really hold you up. Let's see if Josh Hayes can get by
Max Flinders, number 888. He knows. Max knows he's a veteran of this sport, and he gets out of the way. We are told that Race Direction is reviewing the incident between the 24 and the 2. So we'll see what happens with that incident. There could be some fines levied, some points taken away as Race Direction takes a look. So Josh Hayes now around Bobby Fong. So Hayes up into second spot.
Now I'm going to look at split times, and this is what we want to be able to tell all the people at home. When we start looking at split times, we're going to be able to look at this first sector, second sector, and see if Hayes starts closing up. Because so far, Raj probably had +3 on his board that last lap, and we're going to see if it starts to get closed down, Greg. 40.4 in the first sector for Raj. Josh Hayes, 39.8. He's already closed 0.6 of a second.
Are you kidding me?
Just in that first split.
Is it possible that Josh Hayes, number 4, who runs off the racetrack, could possibly reel in the race leader, Roger Hayden, and win this one? And how about Cameron Beaubier, now up into 5th spot?
Just ripping laps right now, and he is now going to be thrusting himself into this whole little battle with Skoltz and Bobby Fong also. But you can see Josh Hayes has started to pull away from this group battling. Cameron Beaubier could get on to third, get into third place by the end of this race after both factory Yamahas have gone off track and they've had some luck their way with the points leader getting crashed out.
Skoltz with a look over his shoulders. We see Tony Elias now back into the pits looking, and he's okay, and thumbs up. We know he's going to be disappointed, but on the racetrack, let's take a look at the replay here. This is another look at what happened.
Tony starts going down, and you can see all it was is Josh had not made it close enough. He had not got up alongside of him enough, Greg, to really let Tony know that he was there, and that's why we've seen what we have seen.
More parts and pieces for the Yoshimura Suzuki crew. And Terry has Tony Elias in the pits. Terry?
Tony, first and foremost, are you okay?
Sorry?
Are you okay?
Yeah, some pain, but I'm okay. Yeah, just my pain is inside now.
What happened there?
We work we work well this winter and trying to manage every situation to be consistent, to make points. Today Roger was stronger, but P2 was possible. I accept that. But you cannot control the others. Nothing happened. It's racing, and now it's gone. I have to continue working with my team and pushing.
Okay. Glad to see you're okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just looking back with 2 to go, as Roger's going to be taking the white flag, and we'll get to the Tony comments here in a minute. I thought he handled that very well. But Roger's on his last lap here. He's got a 1.4 second lead. Cameron Beaubier is passing, trying to pass Josh Hayes for second place now.
Are you kidding me?
Is Josh going to be able to square him up? No. But he just ran the fastest lap of the race at a 25.0. How close can he get? Because if he can keep winding the pace up through these next couple sectors, Cameron Beaubier might be able to get on the back of Raj when they come on the front straightaway. And now you can see Josh, that pass probably surprised Josh, as Bobby Fong has also broke the will of Matthew Schultz back there. Not sure maybe why, Cameron got up here so quick. There could have been some dicing going on between him and Schultz. That might be why that gap has opened up. But Cameron Beaubier is charging, Greg, trying to get back up to the front here to try to do something with Raj. What an incredible ride by the defending champion, and what a way to salvage 20 points towards his championship, unless he can get up to the back of Raj.
Especially knowing that Tony Elias, the championship points leader, is out. So Cameron Beaubier was 26 points adrift of Tony Elias. Can he claw his way back to 6 or more? Roger Hayden is going to be coming under fire right now. Roger Hayden has got to put in the best last couple turns of his career right now. Here we come down to the bottom of the hill. It's all about the drive out of the corner. It looks like Roger Hayden has it in hand if he can get the perfect drive. So here we go to the line. It's going to be number 95. Roger Hayden will take the checkered flag and his first win of 2017.
Bobby Fong passed Josh Hayes to finish 3rd overall again for Bobby Fong on the podium on a Superbike race, same as at Coda. Josh Hayes falls back to 4th on that last lap. You see Josh Herring coming across the line. He would be a lap down at this point. Matthew Schultz, Jake Lewis, great job for Jake Lewis to put that bike 3rd on the Superstock podium. We're going to be looking next for Kyle Wyman, and I'm going to definitely find out what happened to Kyle during that race, because he went all the way back to 15th place at one point. As you can see, Kyle Wyman coming across the line in 7th. Danny Eslick right behind him, and then Bryce Prince follows suit in 9th place. Hayden Gillum, top 10 on his first time on that 2017 GSX-R 1000.
What a race finish. If you're not texting your friends, telling them how amazing the Motul Superbike and Pizzazz Superstock 1000 classes are here in MotoAmerica, you are absolutely insane. Roger Hayden takes his first win of 2017. Cameron Beaubier came back from, what, 18th?
I said he was 9.4 seconds back with about 8 laps to go, 9 laps to go. Those guys fighting between themselves. The Herring Ilias incident, can't take anything away from it. Raj knows he won this race. Raj did an amazing job. When he goes back and looks at this race, though, and he sees both those Yamahas were off track, it's going to give those Yoshimura crews something to think about going into Sunday.
No question the race played in the favor of Roger Hayden as the Yoshimura Suzuki team takes victory here at VIR. But all eyes have got to be on Cameron Beaubier. I mean, Beaubier just kept clicking off fastest laps of the race, time and time again. But what a race win. At the end of the day, it's who gets to the checkered flag first. There's a look at the 85 of Jake Lewis. Jake Lewis on that M4X Star Suzuki will finish up 6th overall and 3rd in the Superstock battle. But it's this rider right here, Bobby Fong. Are you kidding me?
Unbelievable. I mean,
what a way, what a pass, and what a way to stand on the podium in 3rd overall in the Motul Superbike class. But he'll also stand on top of the podium for the Pizzazz Superstock 1000.
And we're going to maybe get a look at it here. As you can see, he drafted by Josh Hayes. How about Josh Hayes thinking to himself, I just got drafted to the line by a Superstock bike.
Wow.
So the Kawasaki ZX-10 obviously has a lot of speed underneath it, and he was able to do something with Josh. Josh there on the last lap got passed by Cameron and Bobby Fong there on the last lap of the race.
Wouldn't surprise me if Hayes did, kind of destroyed his tire a little bit, catching those
no
people.
question. But, Cameron the same way. Cameron came from a long way back, ran the fastest lap of the race with 2 to go. But Bobby Fong, man, can't say enough about this guy. This guy's so good.
So congratulations all around to our podium finishers. George Latus, the team owner, giving congratulations to Bobby Fong, who will stand on the podium in the big class. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll hear from these folks.